NBA putting in work, leading OKC to a Game 5 win as the Thunder lead the Nuggets 3-2. Game 6 tomorrow in Denver. Nikola Jokic had a huge game, 44 points, 15 rebounds. Jokic had 4 of Denver's 5 total field goals in the fourth. And Big Perk had this to say late last night. Bron gets tired at 40 years old and people questioned his greatness, but Jokic gets tired and he needs more help. We got to stop moving the goalpost. Okay. Brian Windhorst joining us. Windy, top of the morning to you, sir. Great to have you. Stephen A., let me ask you this. Perk on Jokic. Is that fair or foul? We're moving the goalpost for him?
I think it's fair what he's saying in terms of how we judge Jokic. I don't think he's accurate with how we judge LeBron. Who's questioned the greatness of LeBron James? When he's tired, we say he's tired, so far the time might be kicking in terms of his fatigue. Because he's older now. He's not the young spring chicken he once was. That's it. That's not questioning his greatness. That's saying, okay, he looks a little tired, which is something you could surmise is plausible because he was 40 years old in his 22nd season in the league. That's all. Yeah, I love how people conflate things sometimes. Nobody's questioning the greatness of LeBron James. They question if you see him tired. Okay. He's not what he used to be in terms of the level of conditioning that he once had. It's still phenomenal at age 40 in his 22nd season. But you don't look at LeBron James, the player, and question anything about that. That's number one. Number two, when it comes to Jokic, I think that he's been beat up. And we're looking at an Oklahoma City team that we have all deemed to be a superior bunch to almost anybody in the NBA, specifically this season. So Jokic being who he is, Denver being devoid of the depth it once had, looking at Jamal Murray, an Aaron Gordon, a Michael Porter Jr., and how capable they are, but also how inconsistent they have been from time to time. You look at a guy like Jokic, and when you see him, dare I say, looking human, it catches you off guard. Because when you see him last night and he finishes with 44 and 15, he's gotten to a point where we consider that relatively ordinary for him. So when we saw him struggling the way that he has in some games this year, we're like, that's not what we're accustomed to seeing. And we're pointing it out. So Perk's right to point that out, but not to accuse folks of moving the goalpost and using LeBron James as the litmus test to make such an assertion. I disagree with him on that point.
Wendy?
It's fair to say that LeBron is sometimes judged differently when it comes to criticism than his peers. That's a fair thing, and that's a conversation, but not Jokic on this night. Nobody was saying Jokic was tired last night. He definitely didn't move his feet great on defense in the fourth quarter, but the man had 44 and 15. The reason that the Nuggets lost last night was because his teammates won a collective 1 of 15 in the fourth quarter. You're not winning a game in this level of the playoffs against a level of team like the Thunder when your teammates go 1 of 15 in the fourth quarter. And the reason, guys, is because they have no bench, literally no bench. There was an interesting decision at the beginning of the fourth quarter. David Adelman, the Nuggets coach, he had a decision to make. They were up by 8 points, and usually he gives Jokic a couple of minutes of rest to start the fourth, and he didn't. He left him in there to try to knock the Thunder out. And I do think that at the end of the game, that might have been a factor because I think Jokic was a little slow-footed closing out when they put him in pick and roll. But I'm certainly not criticizing him. I'm criticizing the makeup of the Nuggets, which is one of the reasons why their general manager was fired at the end of the regular season, because the roster build-out hasn't kept pace. And look, Russell Westbrook, for as fascinating of a player as he is, he hasn't been able to deliver in this series. I'm not questioning his character. I'm not questioning him as a person. He just hasn't delivered. He's 3 of 27 in the last 3 games. They need offense. He hasn't been able to deliver it. Westbrook probably shouldn't be your sixth man. You want to have the option to play Westbrook when he's doing well and not play Westbrook when he's not doing well. They don't have options. The reason the Nuggets lost this game was nothing to do with Jokic. It had everything to do with his teammates.
Yeah, 100%. And give Oklahoma City credit because they were down 90-81. They're down 80-68. And they had to win this game. And you got to give them a little credit there. And I fell asleep at 88-80. I hate to say it. So I didn't see Dort make 3 threes, which were the biggest threes in the game. Remember, they made 5 threes, OKC, in the last 6 minutes of the game. 5 threes. And Porter did a terrible job. What are you looking at me that way for? I can't go to bed?
why are you falling asleep during the game?
I'm tired.
You didn't work on First Take yesterday morning. So if you didn't work on First Take yesterday morning, that means your day really didn't start until the afternoon. And if it didn't start until the afternoon, why in the hell are you falling asleep in the middle of a game?
Yes, I got to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm 65 years old. Thank you. I was tired. I fell asleep. What's the matter with you? Am I allowed to fall asleep?
No. We'll talk about that later.
I'm allowed to fall asleep. At least I admitted it.
You did admit that. Your honesty should be applauded.
That's the point.
We will talk about that later. We will talk about that. We will talk about that later. You don't get to fall asleep during a playoff game when your game start at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
The game started at 9:40.
Your day started at 3 o'clock yesterday. Your day started at 3 o'clock.
What do you know? What do you know?
I know enough about it. I know Jeannie told me.
She would give me beer. And the funny thing is, I fell asleep, woke up again.
On the couch?
In bed. Put the TV
That's
back
your problem
on.
right
I said,
there.
how the hell did I
You
turn it
can't
off? I'll
watch
let Steve carry me.
You're setting yourself up when you try to watch the game in bed. You got to watch it on the couch.
You can't do it.
You got to sit up.
You can't do it. But give Dort credit. I give Wendy credit. You know, he had to stay up in the middle of the night. You, of course, Dort made the 3 threes. They did make 5 threes in the last 6 minutes of the game.
Know what that was.
And I love Perk, but Perk, when he scores 44 points and 15 rebounds, maybe that's not the time to put out a tweet saying he's tired with that kind of performance.
That's Perk being a curmudgeon. That's Perk being a curmudgeon. By the way, his little son beat me in the game of basketball. Little 8-year-old bullied me and beat me in the game of basketball and said, "I beat you, old man." That's how big.
No, really?
That's how Carter, his little kid Carter, he's an adorable little kid. He beat me in the game of basketball and said, "I beat you, old man." That's
one of the great players in the history of Winston.
Did it hurt your feelings? It hurt your feelings a little.
Not at all.
Did OKC clinch the series last night going up 3-2, Wendy?
I have a confession to make. 2 nights ago, while I was doing Countdown in LA, after getting up for Get Up that day, Malika had to wake me up in the 4th quarter of the Warriors and the Wolves game. So, it can happen. It can happen.
Wow.
But, that game wasn't exactly that exciting in the 4th quarter.
It was 87-67. You're allowed. It was 87-67.
Dog, I was living and dying with every basket. So I'm sorry, Molly, what was the question?
Did OKC clinch the series going up 3-2?
No, hell no. Let me just tell you one interesting facet of this series. I want to praise Oklahoma City all over the place for the way they handled their business in the 4th quarter last night. It showed incredible growth year over year because they were in the same moment last year. It was 2-2 in Game 5 at home against the Mavericks, and they didn't deliver in that game. I don't know if I would say they choked, but they didn't deliver. Specifically, Jalen Williams had a miserable end to that series last year. He worked so hard on his game. He hits the biggest shot of his career to break the last tie in this game. And also, and I know Stephen A. holds Sam Presti, the team president, accountable. Sam Presti's acquisitions from last year, Isaiah Hartenstein and Alex Caruso, played big roles in this game. Having said that, no, this series is absolutely not over. Right. And this is one thing to keep an eye on. So in Game 6, it will be the 7th game in I think, 15, 16 nights for Denver. It's going to be brutal to win that game at home. However, they get an extra day if they get to Game 7. If they can get Game 6 at home, they get 2 and 7, and that could be a world of difference for Denver. Keep an eye on that.
Well, let me say this real quick. He brought up Sam Presti. I have never uttered a negative syllable about Sam Presti in terms of his ability to acquire talent. My issue with him is that he has been the man running the Oklahoma City Thunder doggy since 2007.
Yeah, win something.
Okay, yep. 17 plus years as the executive, as the president of basketball operations, with Hall of Fame talent, league MVPs, perennial all-stars draped all over the roster. Okay, and he's been a title contender at least 8 years of those 17 years. At least 8 years of those 17 years, probably more. And he doesn't have one single championship to show for it. At some point, you have to close. You can't be one of those executives that the ownership is just satisfied. You make us money, you keep us competitive. No, you got to close. I want to see Sam Presti win a championship.
Good point.
That's all. That's all. Nothing else.
I do think we'll see a Game 7. I'll trust Denver at home Sunday afternoon, 7.
By the way, Doggy and Wendy.
And I saw that you had an article this morning about Giannis and his openness to exploring options right out of Milwaukee. I'm here in LA. All I'm hearing is Giannis to LA. Giannis, LeBron, Luka. Is him to the Lakers actually possible?
Even Giannis doesn't know where he wants to go right now or what his future really holds, right? Like, it's either you stay in Milwaukee and you understand the next year to 2 years, it's going to be a rough period for them there because they only have one first-round pick they can trade. They have top-heavy salaries. They don't have a lot of tradable, high-value contracts if you want to get better. So you don't really have high-value tradable contracts. You only have one first-round pick you can trade, and that first-round pick is 6 years away in 2031. So that's all under consideration. The Damian Lillard of it all. So, Damian Lillard, co-star of Giannis Antetokounmpo, he suffered an Achilles tear right as the playoffs was ending for the Bucks. And that's devastating, not only because that's a guy that averages 25, 30 points a game, but he's making $54 million next year. He's under contract for upwards of $110 million the next 2 years. And at least for next season, it's very much up in the air. When is he going to be back? And so because of that uncertainty, that's $54 million potentially in dead money. And so they don't have a lot of elevation ability to make this team better. And because of that, Giannis Antetokounmpo has said for years, I want to win another championship. He said it on his brother's podcast last month. If I can't win another championship, I can't go to sleep at night after I'm retired. And so everyone understands he wants to find the best fit long term. He's been saying for years the goal is to find that option. If it's not going to be in Milwaukee, well, now we're here. And he is actively exploring it from what I'm told. And that process starts here at the Combine in our home city in Chicago. All 30 teams are here. His representatives are here. There's going to be a lot of conversations going on all week.
So he's going to the Lakers. Thank you, Shams.
I don't think that would be something that I would be putting all my money on if I'm UK.
Okay.
But
okay.
Do what you got to do.
Interesting. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. You can subscribe right here to get the latest from the show and check out more of the best clips from Up and Adams, or go watch a few segments from other shows on Fan.